Before you begin applying in a system, you must perform in a depth self-assessment. Don't forget your values, interests, and personality trends, as they'll decide your pleasure in a position and the transferable skills you could deliver. As different roles may have unique educational requirements, you have to keep in mind in case you need to pursue studies or secure a full-time position. If you decide to enroll in a system, there are numerous elements to recall. Such as whether to end up an element type or full-time student, where to study online, and which primary and group are proper for you. We can always access the love in our hearts by way of locating our courage, which meant at first to face by means of one center. Consider a mountain growing from the earth. No matter how carefully we look, it's impossible to tell in which the mountain ends, and the earth it rises from starts, but it's the earth that makes the mountain strong. Within the same way, you can't inform wherein the soul stops and where the floor of being it rises from starts. While we can stand by our middle, we input our authority of being, which gain its power from the usual ground of being. This is its foundation. So while we stand by way of our center, we stand by means of the core of all things. While we contact into our center, we enter the center of all things. The first component you will need to do is visualize exactly what it's for you need. Make sure that the desires you've got belong to you and no one else. Can you see yourself pouring hours and hours into reaching them? Are you sure the goals you've got are things you absolutely need? If so, you may move on to the following step. To lean into existence requires a quiet braveness that shall we discover our aliveness, and the praise for leaning into life is that everything hidden turns into sweet and colorful. Or more, we are subsequently gifted enough to obtain the sweetness and coloration that is usually there. Don't forget how a flower opens. It doesn't prepare for a selected second, but remains real to an existence of opening and leaning closer to the light. While a flower blossoms, it turns inside out and wears its splendor in the world. In only this way, a soul opens over a life of leaning into existence. It may be spiritually defeating when your own family isn't connected as you would hoped, and it may be draining looking to force those relationships to appear. However, with consistency, open-mindedness, and staying power, spending time as you need, and forming those personal relationships with each family member can occur. So, make an own family nighttime as soon as per week to make sure you're intentional about creating an area from all of you to attach and construct as a family. Also, create possibilities for your kids to come together and nurture their relationships with each other, for example, through taking part in a game collectively or joining an after-school system. And subsequently, make certain you are spending a few time with all of your children to find more about them, like what they need to be when they grow up, their fears, and their interests. How will you best support the intellectual and spiritual health of every person in the family? This question have to be posted on the wall someplace in your home, or at least to your thoughts as you navigate the combined family enjoy. Not secure in each person's intellectual, emotional, and spiritual health only makes bleeding your families that much more hard. Bringing family together can be extremely tough on your children, let alone you and your partner. From learning to share your area to navigating broad financial obligations to inspiring closeness and connection, it may all be so mentally, bodily, emotionally, and spiritually draining for every person involved. So, ensuring everybody's properly being is a concern is essential. The best way to encourage everyone to prioritize their mental, emotional, and spiritual health is to guide by means of example. Going to marriage counseling or searching for advice from a couple therapists to learn how to restore the brokenness to your relationship. Putting forth communication equipment, or definitely research all of you can learn about marriage subculture. Despite the hardships we come across, and regardless of our pain, the heart continues starting after closing. The way day flows nighttime till assembly, existence is our everyday testing truth. No matter the boundaries, we are asked to welcome all the teachers we come upon along the way, aid shooting and whispering that the secret kingdom is everywhere. Having goals is one issue, achieving them is something else. Developing an action plan is one of the best ways to make sure that your desires become fact. Try creating a timeline with detailed steps that explains precisely how you are going to get to wherein you want to be. Life doesn't always let you see plans to fruition. Whilst that occurs, be organized to modify your movement plan. Take a look at all of the elements affecting your capability to obtain your desires. If something is one of kind that it became, some weeks or months has returned, modify your plan to represent the change.